I modified Einstein's cosmological constant with E equals MC squared with 7-layer sphere with the light spectrum in a canopy. All right, the light spectrum of 1000 is represented within a canopy. So the expansion velocity of the universe is 50c for representing 50 days. All right, in the Quran, or 1 day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth. 50 days in heaven is 50,000 years on earth. All right, and that's what I'm using that as an equation for my previous video. So 50, what do you get? 14,989,622,900 miles a second. The same calculation for the speed of light, just 299 millions, times 50, because 50,000 is 50. 1 day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth. So you can reverse engineer it and do it the same exact way to get the whole calculation with the exact same number. For 1 day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth, representing the speed of light. And so we can imagine that there's a whole universe in here. Then we have 50,000 years using the golden mean ratio, which is the same mathematical equation of love that's originally used to create the universe, to create a visual image of what the universe would look like while it's expanding. So to get a better visual perception of what it is I'm talking about here, let me give you it. I'm going to screenshot this. Equation E equals MC squared, and I modified the cosmological constant to represent 50,000, all right, in my own understanding of the universe. And then you get 50C, which is going to represent 50,000 in this calculation for the cosmological constant. That's the code I'm going to use in my own mathematical equation to explain the expansion of the universe. When you see 50C, think 50,000, all right? I'm creating my own math to give you an explanation of my own understanding of the universe, beginning with MC squared in 7 layers, like the atmosphere of the universe. However, we are on the first layer, and this is the math that we're getting for the Einstein tensor describing curvature of 7 layered spherical universe. And the modified cosmological constant for 50,000, all right, is 50C. All right, so the cosmological constant here is 50,000 C at the spherical universe using the golden mean ratio with 1,000 representing limit for time, because 1 day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth in the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran. 12,000 lunar orbits equals the speed of light. For 1,000 is representing 12,000 lunar orbits, giving us the speed of time. So I'm using it as an equation to represent light speed, 1,000. Expansion of the universe, 50,000, 7 layers, using Einstein's tensioner in a curvature of 7 layers of spherical universe. This is my equation. And the stress energy tensor incorporating energy mass E equals MC squared for the 7-layer structure is going to be represented with TUV, a sphere of 7 layers. And we're in the first layer, all right? And imagine the cosmological constant is dark matter, expanding at 50,000 times 50 times the speed of light, which is represented at 50,000, all right, based off of the scriptures of the Holy Quran, the Torah, and the Bible. A new equation for my own explanation to create the sustained life atmospheric needed for Earth. Same thing with the universe, just layered to create, to allow for life and creation on the first layer. On the first layer, there's 7 layers. And that's why I say love is 7 layers, because God created the universe out of love, 1.618. So to redraw this equation here, all right, we're going to have to add the 1.618 mathematical ratio in a sphere. So not just a flat surface, right? But in a spherical surface where it goes around. And that's the first layer that we're going to measure. We're going to take E equals mc squared from Albert Einstein. We're going to add it. We're going to add the golden ratio, which I did in a different video, in a sphere. And I'm going to use 1,000 dots to represent the speed of light, because in the lunar cycle, 1 day in heaven is 1,000 years, which represents the speed of light. So I'm going to use 1,000 divided by 1,000. And the limit is going to be 50,000, which is a different video I made for the expansion of the universe. All right, so that's times the speed of light, which is 1,000. When I say 1,000, think of the speed of light. When I say times it by 50, you take the speed of light, all right, and you times it by 50. So speed of light times it by 50, and you get the speed of the expanding universe, right? The layers that are above the first layer. And think of it as a sphere expanding in all directions. And simultaneously, our universe is expanding, but not as fast. All right? So this 50 represents 50,000. This represents 1 day in heaven is 1,000 years on earth. In the Torah, the Bible, and Quran. Angels travel at the speed of light. So the speed inside of Jacob's ladder, Al-Miraj, chapter 70, verse 4, is also an explanation to how fast the universe is expanding faster than light. That's the foundation of this equation.